It's the Blue Line Hockey Betting Podcast. We got 4 NHL games going today. 4 Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto against Ottawa, Vegas playing Minnesota, and Winnipeg in St. Louis. I'm Lawrence Presman. Matthew Barnaby is my co-host. We're going to take apart every single one of those games, tell you exactly how to bet them, and Andy Lang will join us at the end of the show with some prop bets. What's up, Matty? Great day yesterday.
Yeah, great day. Everything's going according to Hoyle almost in predictions. I'd say the only one we're looking at right now, Colorado, my cup favorite, 2 overtime losses. That's tough, but we'll recover. Still a great day.
Well, the question is, does that set up a Colorado bet in the next game? It's just so hard to bet that series. Minus 180 against Dallas on Saturday, 6.5 total. We're not doing a Saturday show, and I mean, for me, it's going to be stick to the regularly scheduled program and
Yeah,
don't bet that series.
yeah, I didn't. Yeah, like I said yesterday, I didn't bet that game because the odds just didn't. I thought Colorado would win, but I wasn't willing to lay that odds. I think they're two very close teams. Ottinger's a great goaltender. Blackwood's a great goaltender. Landeskog coming back in the lineup. I'm just riding with my series bet, and I'll stick with that and see where we go.
Yeah, so I went to St. Louis Wings last night, watched the Washington-Montreal game, just caught the third period there. And the whole place, to my chagrin, was cheering for the Habs.
Huh?
Very rarely am I in a bar where I'm standing alone, but I stood alone, loud and proud. And I was the only person in that bar that high-fived both my hands because nobody else was interested.
Uh,
Yeah, Montreal loses last night as well. But Matthew, man, what a performance. I said this to people yesterday. The Mahab fans should be proud of their team.
Well, Washington was by far the better team in the first period and a half, period and 3 quarters. Montembeault kept them in the game. It should have been probably 4 or 5-1 at that point. And then it was a completely different team in the third period. And if it wasn't for Logan Thompson,
Yeah.
Montreal wins that game going away. He made 3 or 4, listen, 10 bell saves. We saw the one on the side that hit the post, then came through the crease. So plenty of opportunities. Patrick Laine is a dog in that series. He was benched in the third period.
Yeah.
Terrible. But I agree with you. Listen, Montreal was not supposed to win this series. They're a young team. They're ahead of schedule. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs. Washington's a veteran team. They're very fortuitous to be up 2-0 right now in the series.
Yeah, dude, that toe save on the
Deflection.
deflected, that was, I mean, we people genuinely, the term we use is it's a Stolarts.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. Oh
Stolarts.
yeah. That's common term. Common term.
Common.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on in Edmonton, dude? What are they talking about in the dressing room? Come on, there's got to be slight panic now. No?
There's panic now. There's disbelief on the way that it is. They're going to say the right things, but I cannot see Stuart Skinner being the starter for game 3. I mean, you could say the defensive game hasn't been great,
Yeah.
and it hasn't. I mean, listen, Evan Bouchard has seen more 2-on-1s in the last couple games than Bonnie Blue has on the internet in the last few months. So
Oh, I
it's
thought you were going with when young Matty was out playing hockey with the Sabres. I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that's where we were going.
I'd say post career, it's been more of those than
What?
during the career. I'd say post career, I had more of those than during. But
Okay, there
yeah,
you go.
I'm not no Shannon Sharp. I don't want to get into this that way.
Yeah.
But listen, Edmonton's been bad defensively, and I didn't see them winning that game too. They blew a great performance out of their 2 best players. Evander Kane comes back into the lineup. Listen, he's been out of the lineup for a year. It's tough to fill right back in. Undisciplined penalties throughout that team, and you have a very good LA team that capitalized on the power play. Listen, Kopitar and Kempe have been awesome through 2 games. LA is the better team in this one. I thought it would go 6 games, but I think this only lasts 5.
Baffling. Kempe on the ice, 3 minutes to go in a 6-2 game. I don't understand it, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's get into some actionable betting information. We got 4 games today. Tampa Bay playing Florida. And, I like Tampa Bay originally for the series, and I also like them game 1. You liked Florida game 1. I have full disclosure said over and over again, I am not betting this series, and I'm not betting the Dallas-Colorado series.
Yeah.
Gun held to my head. I got into a conversation last night about the zigzag theory with a friend of mine, Matthew. And in the NBA, the zigzag theory is a legitimate thing, man.
Yeah.
In the NHL, it is to a degree. And, I said to a friend of mine, because he bet the Habs last night, and I said, what was your thought process in betting the Montreal Canadiens last night? And he said, well, they lost the first game and they have to, it's must win second game. And I said, that holds water. If you conceptually bet that way, you're probably going to make a little bit of money in each and every playoffs. However, this year there's a difference, and that is the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators. These two teams are too young, too inexperienced, and frankly, too far off the difference in talent to their opponents. And we saw neither of those teams able to win that second game. This is different. This is the zigzag that we talk about. This is the Dallas, Colorado zigzag, although we missed a zag last night. Florida and Tampa Bay, I feel like, are going 7 games, and I feel like they're going to zag it the whole way through. Tampa Bay at minus 125 seems like a steal to me. But, again, I'm just not going to bet it. Like, I want to bet it. I feel like it's the right bet. I'm just not going there.
The Prez, I'm with you. If I was going to bet the game and I didn't have Florida in the series, I'd be hammering Tampa Bay tonight. They aren't going to be they're going to be more disciplined than they were in game 1. They aren't going to give up 3 power play goals because they have a very good PK. He let in 6 goals on 16 shots, Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
He's going to be better. This is going to be a much better team at home than they were in game 1. So I have Florida. I'm not going to hedge my bet here and take Tampa Bay. Listen, I'm on the Florida Panthers for the series. Tampa Bay, I do think, wins tonight, and I think that theory holds well. And 2 of the teams we're talking about, we can even include St. Louis in that that fact there. With St. Louis had to go on a 12-game run at the end of the regular season to make the playoffs. Montreal made it in the last couple of days, and Ottawa had to play their butts off in the last month just to make the playoffs. So those are 3 teams that are definitely separated from the top 5 teams. So if I was going to bet, Tampa Bay is my bet, but I'm on the Florida Panthers for the series.
Yeah, so we see this exactly the same way. And I will say this, it's very important, 16 shots on goal. So Tampa Bay were able to keep Florida outside. And it was just clearly one of those,
Power play 3 for 3.
We call those a Skinners, when you let in 6 goals and 16 shots. Those are
definitely not Stolarz.
Well, Stolarz are like shutout on 42 shots. I mean, come on. Come on. Speaking of Stolarz, obviously he's getting the start tonight. They're playing Ottawa, and here we are, Matt. We are entering, sort of phase 2 of the first round. 2-0 for Toronto. So now we're in these quote unquote must win games. Ottawa loses this game tonight, and put a fork in them. And I don't think they win this game tonight. I'm not going to sit here and say Toronto sweeps, but I think if Ottawa wins a game, it'll be the next one. I don't even think Toronto's played well. I think the best is still to come. I think defensively, Toronto is incredible, and they are getting no dude, none. Like, they have all 3 pairings.
Yeah.
All 3. Benoit is on the 3rd defensive pairing. He's 7 foot 100. He's the tallest guy on the entire team.
I do. Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Set up the winning goal.
Yeah. On a phenomenal play.
Yeah.
Their defense is outstanding, and Ottawa's lack of scoring is the problem here. I said at the beginning of the series that I would be surprised if Ottawa got more than 2 goals in any single game. I still feel the same way. There is no depth on that team from a scoring perspective. And not only that, Matt, but even up top, if you're relying on Brady and Tim as your superstar scorers and an 85-year-old Claude Giroux, you got problems. Now, I love Dylan Cousins, and I think he's going to be a star, and he's really handsome too. My wife has pointed that out to me on many occasions. By the way, Dan, Matt, my wife was drooling over Dan, the producer. I accidentally put him on FaceTime, and my wife was like, whoa. Anyway.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah. Toronto is the play for me, brother. I just can't get around. I can't get around to believing that Ottawa can play any better than they played last game.
Well, we're seeing the board the same way today, and I think that's good because as you evolve into a series, it's different. You need to get knowledge from a series as it evolves, and you start taking notes and hints and numbers away from it. I've always said if you lose 2 games on the road, you're fine. If you lose 2 games on the road, that second game or at home, that second game becomes prevalent. You have to win it. Everyone has the same fact. You haven't lost that series till they come down. This is the most important game. If you lose 2 on the road, it's the third game. The third game they lose tonight, it's all over. I'm with you. I just think Toronto's the better team. I don't think Ottawa can score with them. I think Toronto's power play is so confident right now. They're playing well defensively and they're getting very good goaltending. So you combine that all together. Ottawa had 2 guys with 60 points this year. Drake Batherson and Tim Stützle. And Brady Tkachuk had 29 goals. They didn't have a 30-goal scorer in that lineup. The difference was Ullmark this year, and that's why they got into the playoffs. Any other goalie, they probably don't make the playoffs. So I'm with Toronto. I really think Toronto wants to really lay the hammer to the Ottawa Senators in the Battle of Ontario. Listen, Sens fans have been laughing at the Toronto Maple Leafs for the last 10 years because they haven't, they've always been projected to be Stanley Cup champs and when's the parade and all of these things. I think Toronto's sick of it. I think they're like, we're going to hammer these guys. We're going to knock you out in 4. It might be 5, but I see Toronto winning this game. I just think they're too good. And I think there's great value at Toronto minus 105.
Yeah, I thought the line would be slightly higher as well. And I like the under 2 in this game. Matt, look, I think Linus is going to play really well. And we saw this go under 3-2 in the last game in overtime. When you're sitting there saying a team's not going to score more than 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ottawa gets shut out at some point. I got to look at the under, and I know I'm a homer here, but I really feel like Toronto has not given us their best yet, and Ottawa has.
And Ottawa's going to play a good game tonight. They're going to be pumped to be going home. They haven't played a playoff game in like 7 or 8 years. So this is going to be an emotionally charged team when they come out. And it's just for Toronto to play a smart, boring first period. You don't need to take chances against the Ottawa Senators. You're a better team. You're going to get your chances at some point.
Yeah. Let's talk. I want to ask you a question before we take apart the next 2 games, and that is Gabriel Landeskog. He played last night. This man hasn't played, and I could be wrong here, Matt. It's 3 seasons, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now
over 1,000 days.
Yeah. So a friend of mine and we were talking last night, and we were saying, all of you guys, I mean, you came up in the league and you were a grinder, a Michael Pekka, a Jim Poplinski, a Dale Hunter. Was your role. And but to get to the NHL, you were not that when you were 12. You were a skilled player at 12. You were deking people, scoring a lot. Nobody gets drafted because they're plumbers. They get drafted because they played hockey at a very high level with a whole lot of skill. How much innate skill does this freaking guy have that he cannot play for 3 freaking years and walk straight into a playoff game? I mean, how is that even possible, dude?
Yeah.
I missed 3 weeks. I missed 3 weeks of my hockey, and I am non-functional out there for the first game.
Yeah, this guy takes care of himself, and he's battled. You gotta respect what he's done. It would have been easy just for him to retire and collect his $8 million a year, whatever he's making, and walk away from the game. But I watched the documentary on him, the passion. I mean, he's a true leader, documenting every part of his recovery with his knee and setback after setback. So listen, an elite level athlete. You know, he's been training for this. Was it probably a little fast for him? Probably a little
But
bit.
how do
He
your hands and your eye, like
well,
how does
he
the skill stay there?
yeah, you have it. It comes back quick, especially when you're taking care of him yourself. And he's been on the ice a lot in the last few months, so he's been working on his skills the last few months. It's not like he just hasn't been doing anything for the last 3 years. He's been working on it. Obviously, not on the ice as much as he was, a long like the 2 years ago. But in the last 6 months, he's been on the ice a lot, working to have this comeback. So, still an incredible feat.
Minnesota hosting Vegas tonight, Matt, and Vegas has won 6 in a row against Minnesota, and then they lost 5-2. Minnesota played an outstanding
Yeah.
game, but they also, I mean, here you got another situation where they allowed 32 shots and they only put up 17. When I look at statistics like that,
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, they're there for the taking. It was one of those games where they got goals fast. The game got away from Vegas. But when I look at a team that is only putting up 17 shots and the game before that, 20 shots, I'm seeing a lopsided ice here, Matt. I see an ice that leans in direction of Vegas. We have a veteran Vegas team led by the same guys that won the cup.
Yeah.
This is zig and zag all over it. There's no other way to go but to look at taking Vegas. They are minus 150. Now, I don't want to take them in regulation, and I'll tell you why. Both Minnesota and Vegas, they like overtime, even in regular season. I mean, you go through the last, I don't know if you realize this, Matt, last 10 games Minnesota have been involved in, including regular season, 6 of them have gone to overtime, 4 of the last 7, 2 of the last 4. So I got to take the money here. I cannot go into overtime here. I cannot go into regulation. It has come down. I like Vegas at minus 150.
Yeah, I like Vegas. They're the better team, and the X factor in hockey is a goaltender. You can clog it up, and you get good goaltending. They can steal a game. I had Dominic Hasek for a lot of years, and there's games that we probably didn't deserve to win, but he pulled them out of you know what.
Yeah.
Vegas is the better team here, minus 160. I don't mind laying it. Even the last game of the year, I think they threw in Flurry just to get one more game
Yeah,
in
yeah.
overtime. So they're a team. When you have good goaltending, you're not a offensive juggernaut like Minnesota isn't. Then overtime really does play into your favor. You keep things close, you keep things tight, and you try to win them in the hardest ways. So Vegas, I can see Vegas taking both games in Minnesota
Yeah.
and going back and wrapping this up in 5 in Minnesota. So I'm all over Vegas as well.
Matthew Barnaby joining me, like always, every day watching the Blue Line Hockey Betting Podcast. I forgot to mention at the top of the show, 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. That's 1 p.m. on Friday. We are doing our live show. It's our live playoff betting show, 1 p.m. Friday. Make sure to join us on our YouTube channel. We'll take questions. We'll go as long as we go. Last week's show was close to 2 hours. This will not be anywhere near that, but we are in no rush. So make sure to join us at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and also hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. The Jets and the Blues, Matt, I'll make this real quick from my end. I'm playing the under. That's that. 22 shots for both teams last game, a 2-1 score. The game before went over 5-3. That was a total aberration. There were still only 40 shots put up between both teams. That game got away score-wise real quick, and then it slowed down. And basically, if you go through the last 5 periods, they've been under 5.5 in the last 5 periods combined. The number is 5. I see a 20% shot at a push here. I see a 2-2 opportunity but I can't. They didn't give me a 5.5, and I was able to get a 5.5 minus 155 or a 5 plus 115. I actually chose the 5 plus 115. I think that's a much better bet than 5.5 minus 155, but I like the under here a lot, Matt. I think, St. Louis has to win. The only, and the way St. Louis is going to win these games is just to basically shut this Winnipeg Jets team down. And asking St. Louis to put 3 up on Connor is a big ask. I'm going with the under.
I'm not betting the game at all. I would be betting the under. I think it is tight. I think you're right. The only way they are going to beat them is if Bennington plays really well, they shut it down. They don't take penalties. They're at home. If they're going to win a game in this series, it is game 3. But I have Winnipeg in this series. I'm sticking with that. I don't need to chase anything in this game.
There we go. Matthew Barnaby and the Prez. We've done every game. Now it's time for Andy Lang. What up, Andy?
What up,
gentlemen?
Andy?
Gentlemen. Yeah, we got some good prop bets. We already cashed a bet this morning. Will Prez have a cup of coffee delivered to him with a gigantic note taped to it that says, "I love you"? The yes cashed right before the show started. That was a real thing that happened. I actually thought it was awesome, Prez.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, there it is. That's amazing.
But Andy, I want to tell you why that happened. Because Matthew needed the show to start early, and I was unaware, given I was sleeping.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I got to travel. I apologize, Prez. It's all about you.
Yeah, you had to pull him out of bed at the crack.
It only took you 2.5 weeks to figure that out, Matthew.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's do some prop bets. I think I got to take Aiden Hill under 22.5 saves. He's just not getting a lot of shots at him. 18 and 12 saves the first 2 games of the series. Those numbers are kind of astonishing, really. And he's gone under in 6 out of the last 7 games. It's just the defense is playing so well. The other teams can't get shots. So I would sprinkle that one. We mentioned him, Tim Stützle, over 1.5 shots on goal. It's getting pretty juicy. That's why I want to play it, because if he goes over again tonight, you're never going to see 1.5 shots on goal in this series. So 3 shots on goal in both games against Toronto. Toronto gives up 29.3 shots on goal per game. He's gone over in 6 straight. He's getting a ton of shot attempts. So Stützle over 1.5 shots on goal. And then Pavel Dorofeyev over 2.5 shots on goal, over 9 straight. He is a shots machine. He's gone over in 9 straight, had 3 and 5 against Minnesota, over in every game against Minnesota this season in 5 games. And the last 10 games, he's shooting the puck 7.2 times per game, and he's getting 3.8 shots that get to the goal. So I'm going to look at him to go over 2.5 shots on goal, along with Stützle and Aiden Hill under his saves.
Andy Lang, everyone. You can see the man on WagerTalk today. He'll be on today. Check that out, 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's live. Andy, thanks, brother. Matt,
anytime.
What do you got?
Well, people, if they want to make money, listen to those, because those are 3 great prop bets. I'm on a goaltender as well, Bobrovsky. Again, we both think Tampa plays a lot better today. I think they get a few more power plays. I think they're shooting from everywhere. We missed yesterday cashing both goalies in the Colorado and Dallas game by 1 shot. But I think Bobrovsky over 23.5 saves, and Drake Batherson, the GOAT in game 2. I think he gets over 2.5 shots. He'll be firing for everywhere. Listen, you always want to prove your coach and your team that was an aberration, a bad mistake. He's going to come back strong. He'll play well, over 2.5 shots.
There we go. Guys, 1 p.m. Eastern. Is it in your calendar? Is it down? Have you written it up? 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, a live show. Me, Matthew, Andrew McGinnis, Andy Lang, and a couple of ex-NHL athletes. You'll have to join us to find out who. Matt, big travel day for you. You're flying from Moncton to Edmonton. I know they both rhyme. I have been to Edmonton once, Matthew. I won't be going back.
I'm going to raise about $1 million with other former NHLers for Alzheimer's. So it's going to be awesome. I'm going to go to Game 4, Edmonton, LA. So that's going to be cool. So I love going out there, but yeah, I like Calgary a little better.
Well, Calgary is stunning. Like Calgary is a stunning. I mean, listen, if you love, flat roads till you're blue in the face, if you miss Oklahoma, if you are American and you miss Oklahoma, visit Edmonton. You will feel right at home, except there are no tornadoes in Edmonton. Maddie.
Let's make some money.
Let's do it, brother. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for that. Safe travels. Guys, don't bet like an idiot. We'll see you tomorrow.